Let me ask you something. What do you do when the world is still sleeping? Because that's when the real game begins. I've lived on film sets in Mumbai, on stages in New York, and in hotel rooms in countries where I didn't even speak the language. And one thing I've learned is this: success doesn't start at 9 a.m. It begins before the world even opens its eyes. The people who rise before dawn, they're not just waking up early, they're waking up on purpose. Now listen, I'm not here to preach or give you a robotic morning routine checklist. I'm not going to say, drink celery juice, meditate for 20 minutes, journal your feelings. No. I'm here to tell you the truth. The reason successful people wake up early is because it's the only time the world shuts up long enough for them to hear their own voice. In this world of noise, distractions, opinions, and chaos, the early hours are sacred. That's when the clutter clears, when the phone's not vibrating, when nobody's demanding a piece of you, when you can hear your why, the reason you started chasing your dream in the first place. When I was 17, I won Miss World. That crown didn't land on my head because I slept in and hoped for the best. I trained, I rehearsed. I woke up early, practiced my walk, refined my voice, worked out, and studied interviews. Not because I had to, but because I wanted to own my future. I wanted to show up fully, and that hunger doesn't sleep till noon. Waking up early is not about being perfect. It's not about impressing the world with discipline. It's about getting a head start on yourself. It's about choosing power over pressure, because when the world starts waking up and the emails flood in, you're already ahead. You're calm, you're centered, you're in control. Let me tell you something important. Success doesn't wait for permission. And it definitely doesn't wait for people to hit snooze 3 times. The most powerful people I know, artists, CEO, athletes, creators. They wake up early because they know that winning begins before the sun shows up. And no, it's not easy. That bed feels warm, that sleep feels safe, but nothing legendary ever came from comfort. You want to rise, get uncomfortable. You want to lead, start early. You want to win, beat the sun. So here's my challenge to you. Wake up 1 hour earlier for 1 week. Use that time for you. Read, learn, dream, plan, meditate, move your body. Don't wait for life to happen to you. Build the life you came here to own. Because successful people don't rise early because they're better. They rise early because they're hungry, focused, unapologetic, and they know time is their weapon. So ask yourself this: while the world sleeps, who are you becoming? Wake up, rise up, show up. When the world is still wrapped in silence and the streets are empty and still, something powerful happens. In those early morning hours, when the noise of life hasn't yet begun to shout its demands, a rare clarity arises. That is the space where successful people thrive. It's not just about getting up early for the sake of ticking a box. It's about who you get to be when the rest of the world is asleep. When you wake up early, you gain access to the quietest, most undisturbed version of your day. And in that space, your thoughts are clearer, your mind is sharper, and your heart can actually speak. In today's world, noise is everywhere. Social media, emails, messages, people's opinions. It all comes rushing in the moment the day begins for most people. But when you wake up early, you step ahead of that chaos. You create a space where you can hear your own voice, not the voice of the world telling you who to be. That's the gift of early mornings. It's not just about time. It's about clarity. It's about having a few sacred moments to ask yourself, who am I becoming? What matters to me today? Where am I going? This clarity isn't just emotional. It's strategic. The early hours are when decisions are made with calm, not panic. Plans are set from a place of purpose, not pressure. Ideas flow because your mind is rested and undistracted. Even 10 minutes of clear thinking in the morning can direct the course of your entire day. That's what successful people understand. They use those hours to align their actions with their goals. They don't just jump into the day blindly. They design it with intention. When you allow yourself this time, you also begin to notice how much of your day was previously spent in reaction, responding to problems, emails, demands, and interruptions. But when you begin with clarity, you begin with power. You become proactive, not reactive. You lead your day instead of letting it drag you, and that shift in control, however small, starts to change everything. You think better, you move with purpose, you don't chase, you choose. So it's not just about being early. It's about what early gives you, a chance to meet your mind before the world meets it. And once you experience the peace and power of that kind of clarity, You'll never want to start your day any other way. Success doesn't wait for the sun to rise. It doesn't wait for motivation to kick in or for the perfect conditions to show up. The people who consistently win in life, the creators, the leaders, the visionaries, they understand something deeply. The earlier you begin, the more of the day you own. Starting before the world wakes up isn't just about having more hours. It's about how you use those hours. When the day is quiet and untouched, you're not competing with anything, not traffic, not notifications, not other people's demands. It's just you, your ambition, and the open space to make moves without distraction. Think of it like a race. If two people are running toward the same goal, but one starts 2 hours earlier every day, who's going to get there first? Who's going to be more prepared, more focused, more confident? Waking up early gives successful people that head start. It's not a mystery, it's math. Those extra hours multiplied over time become progress. And progress builds confidence, confidence builds momentum, and momentum, that's the secret weapon most people never tap into because they're too busy hitting the snooze button. It's not about being superhuman. It's about choosing to show up when no one else does. When the rest of the world is still asleep, the successful are already writing, creating, planning, praying, working out, learning. They're already in motion. So by the time the rest of the world opens its eyes, they're not rushing. They're leading. They're not overwhelmed. They're aligned. They don't start their day behind. They start ahead. This advantage isn't just physical. It's psychological. When you wake up early and take control of your morning, you carry that control into everything else you do. You walk into meetings more prepared. You face challenges with less panic. You deal with stress from a place of strength, not survival. You're not reacting to the day, you're commanding it. And here's the truth most people avoid. Waking up early is uncomfortable. It demands discipline. It demands saying no to late night distractions, but the reward is bigger than the cost. You don't just get more hours. You get better energy, better focus, and a better chance at building the life you want. Success favors the early risers, not because they're luckier or more talented, but because they've decided to start before life gets in their way. And that decision, simple but powerful, is what sets them apart. There's something powerful about claiming the morning for yourself. In a world that constantly pulls you in 100 different directions, having even 1 hour that belongs solely to you is a game changer. Successful people understand this, and that's why they treat the early hours like sacred ground. Before the emails, the meetings, the calls, the opinions, and the chaos begin, they step into a space where they're not being watched, judged, or pressured. In that time, they're free to be raw, honest, and intentional. They don't owe anyone anything in those early hours, and that freedom is where their real power lies. When you wake up early, you're not racing against the clock. You're not reacting to urgent tasks or trying to recover lost time. You're grounded, you can breathe, you can think. You can choose what your day is going to look like instead of letting the day choose it for you. That sense of ownership builds something deeper than just productivity. It builds self-respect. It tells your mind, your heart, and your spirit, I matter, my goals matter, my peace matters. And when you start your day with that message, you carry it with you into every room you enter. These early hours aren't about getting ahead of others. They're about getting ahead of yourself. You're not trying to impress anyone at 5:30 a.m. There are no applause, no likes, no noise, just you showing up for your vision when no one else is looking. That is where discipline is born. That's where dreams are developed. That's where you connect to your why. And when you connect to your why every single morning, you become unstoppable. Successful people don't just use this time to hustle. They use it to align. They pray, they meditate, they move their bodies, they plan their goals, they sharpen their skills. Not because it's trendy, but because they understand the value of showing up for themselves before the world starts making demands. They don't just jump into the rush of life, they set the tone. They fill their minds with purpose so that when the noise starts, they're already centered. This is your power zone. It's not glamorous, it's not public, and it's not easy. But it's where the internal foundation of success is built. You may not see instant results, but what you're creating is deeper, focus, discipline, peace, and purpose. And over time, that daily decision to own your morning becomes the fuel that drives a life of excellence. Comfort is a beautiful trap. It whispers to you that you deserve more rest, that you've done enough, that hitting snooze one more time won't hurt anything. And while comfort feels good in the moment, it's often the very thing standing between you and the life you're capable of living. The truth is, nothing extraordinary ever comes from staying in the safe zone. Growth doesn't happen in the warmth of your blankets or the silence of indecision. It happens when you choose discomfort for the sake of your dreams. Successful people wake up early not because they love leaving a cozy bed behind, but because they understand that greatness demands sacrifice. Every time you choose comfort over commitment, you lose ground. Not all at once, but gradually. You delay the workout, you postpone the writing, you ignore the plan, and over time, those small moments of surrender pile up until you're living a version of life that's smaller than what you were built for. On the other hand, when you choose to rise early and lean into the discomfort, something inside you shifts. You begin to prove to yourself that you are stronger than your excuses, tougher than your moods, and more committed than your comfort zone. There's a mindset that successful people carry. They don't chase what feels good, they chase what moves them forward. That's why they get up when the alarm rings. That's why they show up when no one's clapping. That's why they sacrifice sleep, parties, and short-term pleasure for long-term purpose, and that mindset over time builds something that no one can take away: resilience, discipline, hunger, the kind of internal fire that separates the dreamers from the doers. The comfort zone is crowded. It's where most people stay because it asks nothing of them. But the life you want, the career, the impact, the confidence, the legacy, it lives on the other side of discomfort. Every early morning you embrace, every cold start you endure, every moment you choose to rise instead of rest, you're not just building a habit, you're building a future. It won't always be fun, it won't always be easy, but it will always be worth it. Success doesn't come to the most talented or the most lucky. It comes to those who are willing to get uncomfortable again and again until their results speak louder than their struggles. And that's the real difference. It's not about avoiding comfort forever. It's about delaying it long enough to become someone who has truly earned it. Talent is a gift, but discipline is a choice. And when you look at the people who consistently achieve greatness, it's not always the most naturally gifted or brilliant individuals who stand out. It's the ones who show up when they don't feel like it. The ones who wake up early, even when it's dark, even when it's cold, even when no one's watching. That's the quiet force of discipline. It's not loud, it doesn't crave attention, but it wins every time. Successful people understand that while talent can open doors, only discipline keeps them open. We live in a world that celebrates talent like it's everything. But raw talent, without structure, without commitment, fades. The person with slightly less talent but unshakable consistency will outlast the one who wastes their potential by sleeping in and skipping the work. That's not just motivational fluff, it's the reality of how success is built. When you wake up early, when you commit to your goals day after day, you build something stronger than skill. You build trust in yourself. You become reliable, not just to others, but to your own future. Discipline means doing what's necessary, even when it's inconvenient. It means saying yes to early mornings when your body says no. It means showing up with energy, even when motivation is gone. And the secret that successful people understand is that motivation comes and goes. It's discipline that keeps the vision alive. It's not about waiting to feel inspired. It's about creating your own momentum through consistency. That's why the early hours are so valuable. They're proof of your commitment. Proof that you're not waiting for permission or comfort. You're choosing to act. This kind of discipline also builds confidence. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, like waking up early and doing what you said you would, you gain strength. You stop doubting whether you can. You stop questioning whether you're capable. You become the kind of person who doesn't just dream, you deliver. And when that becomes your identity, there's no room for excuses anymore. You realize that success isn't some far-off miracle. It's the result of tiny, disciplined choices made daily. It doesn't matter how much potential you have if you're not willing to activate it. Discipline turns your talent into results. And the early risers, the consistent ones, the people who grind quietly while the rest of the world sleeps, they're the ones who ultimately shine the brightest. Because they didn't just rely on what they were given, they built on it, and they did it one disciplined morning at a time. The way you begin your morning has the power to shape everything that follows. It's not just the first part of your day, it's the foundation of your mindset, your energy, and your attitude. Successful people understand that how you start determines how you carry yourself through challenges, conversations, and decisions. When you wake up early and take time to center yourself, you're not just getting a jump on your to-do list. You're deciding who you're going to be that day. That's why those early hours are so sacred. They set the emotional and mental tone that echoes through every task and interaction. Starting the day with intention creates momentum. It means you're not rolling out of bed in a rush, reacting to the noise of life, scrambling to catch up. Instead, you're calm, you're grounded, you've already taken time for yourself. To think, to move, to plan, to reflect. That kind of presence carries into everything you do. You don't just go through the motions, you lead with clarity. Your mindset isn't shaped by chaos, but by choice, and that choice gives you power. When you rise early, you give yourself a head start not just in time, but in emotional control. You're less likely to be thrown off by unexpected problems because you've already started the day with strength. You're not coming from a place of stress. You're coming from a place of structure. That internal alignment creates external confidence, and people feel that. Your energy speaks before your words do. Your presence, your decisions, your focus. They're all impacted by how you began your morning. This is why so many successful people guard their mornings fiercely. It's not about having a perfect routine, it's about owning their space before the world tries to take it. They don't let their day dictate their mindset. They decide their mindset and carry it into the day. That one shift changes everything. It means they respond to pressure with poise. They handle setbacks with perspective. They meet opportunities with preparation. Because they've already done the inner work before the outer demands begin. The truth is, the morning isn't just about waking up your body, it's about awakening your spirit. When you start your day in alignment, everything flows differently. The hard things feel more manageable, the distractions feel less powerful. You lead yourself instead of following the noise, and over time, that habit of starting strong creates a life that reflects it. You become the kind of person who walks into the day with purpose, and that kind of energy doesn't just create success, it attracts it. Thank